Okay, this video is going to take you through how to control ugly decimals in your program. And what is an ugly decimal? You will find out soon, but I need you to have a program started already that has all of this code on here. And if you need to pause the video, then do that, and then we'll move on from there. So make sure that you have compiled this program so that there's no errors, and so I'll just do that myself to make sure. Yep, that's good. And then if we run this program, we will see that this produces a variable, or a decimal that has a lot of decimal places used. And so you notice this is a lot of times this is going to happen with a quotient when you're dividing two numbers together. And as long as one of the operands is a double, so you have two operands, one on either side of the arithmetic operator, since num2 is a double, then the result has to be a double. So in this case, using these two numbers, it produces what I call an ugly decimal. And so most of the time we do not want a decimal with that many decimal places being used in the output most of the time. And so, well, how do we control that? How do we make it so it rounds off to maybe the nearest tenth or the nearest hundredth, etc.? And so we're going to show how to do that. And so the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to import from the Java library a class that allows us to do this. And so what I need you to do is type the import statement up here, and that will go, of course, 2 lines above the class header. Now if you have 2 import statements, you put them right together, one right after the other, then have a blank line before the class header. Alright, so this is going to import the DecimalFormat class. The name of the class is always at the end of the import statement, and it's capitalized. The next thing you need to do, so in other words, what this is going to do is this will import the class that allows us to write code that formats decimals, which is, you can just tell by the name what it's going to do. The next thing is you need to declare the the decimal format object. And so we'll put that up here in the first line of the main method, just as a good place to put it. And so here's the decimal format. Now this is very similar to the scanner object. So we had the name of the class, and then we did the name of the object, and then the assignment operator, then we said new, and then we put the name of the class, and then we did put something in parentheses and then semicolon. So you can see this is the same pattern as with the scanner class object. And so the name of the scanner class object that we're using in class is scan, and Mrs. Wyman's class uses input. Now we're using a decimal format object, and we're going to give that a name, and that name is df. Again, you can name that whatever you want. You can name it Ralph if you want. And so this is going to have the same idea. Alright, now what we're going to do in here, the key thing you got to remember is that you have to have quotation marks in this, and you'll notice that this says in the import statement, it says text. So when you think of text or you think of words, you should think of strings, a group of characters that are always indicated by quotation marks, and that's what's going to happen here. And so it's a good idea to just put that 0. You can also use number symbols or hashtags instead, but we're going to use zeros in this case. And you can put 2, you can put 2 zeros, 3 zeros, 1 0, however many, and you'll see what effect that has on it. And so then what we're going to do is we want to apply this object, this decimal format object. And what we're going to do is kind of like a magic wand. We're going to apply this magic wand to the variable that has an ugly decimal stored in it. Now we know right now that this quotient variable, what's stored in there is 2.46268 blah 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 ugly decimal. So we're going to go inside here, and we're actually, let's do this. Let's copy and paste. And in here we're going to apply the magic wand. So df, that's the name of the decimal format object. So if you put Ralph up here, you're going to put Ralph down here. Dot format, and then parentheses around the variable that's storing the ugly decimal. All right. So this is the magic wand. It's the name of the decimal format object and the word format. It's always going to be dot format. And then the variable that stores the ugly decimal has to be inside parentheses. So even if that means having two parentheses at the end, that works. Now if we were to compile it and then we run it, you will see that it rounds it. It actually does a rounding. It just doesn't cut off the rest of the decimal. It'll actually round up or down. And now it's rounded 2 decimal places. Well, why 2 decimal places? Well, the reason is because we have 2 decimal places up here. All right. So that means that if we then change this to be have 4 zeros at the end, it will then when you run it, it will actually have 4 decimal places. And so that's how this works. And so let's go ahead and let's just change it to 1 just for kicks. And there we go. And then we run it, and there is just 1 decimal place. So here again, now you see how it rounds up. It goes up to 2.5 instead of making it 2.4. Now, there's other situations. Most of the time you're going to have this as part of a bigger argument in the println method here. So we're gonna, let's copy and paste this, and let's say that we go in quotation marks, the quotient is quotation marks, concatenation operator. And so the same thing is here. You're still going to do the same idea. All you do is put df.format and then the variable in parentheses. And so we compile it and run it, and you can see it does the same idea. All right, so that's how you control ugly decimals with the decimal format class. And you are expected to use this whenever it is necessary. And sometimes you're just going to have to make that decision on your own, and I won't necessarily tell you to use the decimal format class. You should do it when you see the need.